5, 6, 7, 8. That was take 2, you guys, because I just did something really embarrassing with my
I can't
voice
believe we're on
before that.
season 3 and we still do several opening takes.
Here's what I was thinking, because we have coming up. And I said this before we started recording with Ashley in our last episode, but I looked her dead in the eye and goes, I'm so embarrassed to do this in front of you. And then I found out.
I know. Sometimes just feel like we're just these
Here's
like
why it feels different.
Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
I feel like yeah, the guests that we had before, everyone has been like our friends and
Yes.
lovely, and people that we have had in our ecosystem and been so like
Yes.
hashtag blessed to. And it's less embarrassing because like they know that like I kind of
What?
count as I walk through a doorway or like anything anyway.
Yes. Yes.
But now we're like meeting new people.
Yes. I think that's it. I think it's that it's new people who have no concept of who we are and our personalities, and they're just like, why is this person doing this? But anyway, it is a trademark, and I don't think we can lose it now.
No,
Sorry.
here's what I was thinking though, because what I can do is I can like record something and then it's like the best version of it. And then I can edit it into the front. And so then we can just start. So I might
You're
just do
getting
that.
good.
And listen, our friend Melissa Havel told me to do this like literally 40 episodes ago, and I never did it.
We
So
still haven't done
Havel, I'm finally starting to do this potentially.
Yes.
Listen, it felt easier just to do the whole shebang when we were just, you know, just two little gals, and now it's now I get sweaty. I
Empire.
have to do it. It's only actually fun now when I do it with just you.
Yeah, yeah. What are we doing today?
Okay, so we, as we mentioned like a couple episodes ago when we kicked the 3rd season off, we've got a ton of guests. So Duffy and I have these very rare moments where it's just going to be the two of us this season. This is another one of those episodes. So like, go grab a sandwich, get a Diet Coke, and just get nestled down. It's just your gals today. But what I thought we could do, and tell me if you like this idea, is doing okay, I was looking around for some ideas and I found PR Reddit. And PR Reddit is full of questions that I feel like so many people have that are like either junior and up and coming or like that mid-level area that are too embarrassed to like ask people in real life questions.
Well,
So I
guess
thought we
what?
could read some of these and dig in.
They've come to the right place. Let's do it.
Are you ready to dive into these
Yes,
blinds?
do you have a
No
list
prep.
ready to go?
I have everything.
I'm not prepared at all for this, but I'm ready.
Okay. Devasy has been traveling like crazy for work. And so I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to dish this up on a hot platter from a lady.
I'm going to pretend that someone has just walked in. I'm their manager and they're asking me these questions.
Okay. Subject line. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Is client requests becoming more unreasonable with a question mark. Okay, so here's what the Reddit post says. It says, wondering if anyone else is noticing this. Does it seem like client requests are becoming more unreasonable? Not just unreasonable expectations for their chosen agency, but for what they themselves can handle internally. Within the last couple of months, I noticed that the requests have become increasingly unrealistic. Things like, can you develop a plan and all materials for this new initiative and share back before EOD? First time we've heard about the initiative. So like same day deliverable. 2, redesign our brand and we don't have any input about what we don't like currently. Just give it a shot. Please only use $1,000 of time. And no, we don't need to do any alignment work to get the team on board with the changes. 3, we need to launch a full integrated campaign before end of month. Which I can do for a rush fee, but also, by the way, the only approver is on vacation for that whole time, so you won't get any feedback until day before launch. 4, sorry, there's a few of these, but you get the gist. I feel like I should read these whole Reddit posts because I don't know. Tell me if I'm being crazy.
I don't know.
Request to post 4 bylines this month in a small metro that only has 1 daily and a business news publication.
These are great.
The last one is launch a new PR campaign for a client who has never pursued PR before and establish multiple new owned channels on a timeline that requires more than 24-hour turnaround on all feedback. Spoiler alert, they couldn't meet their own time requirements. So there's some things at the end of this. I'll just not read it. But
Great.
okay. I guess when you hear things like that, what is the first thing that strikes you? Like if you were to give advice or if you were to ask a question back to this person, how would you tackle answering this problem or this question?
I think there's a couple of things at play here. A lot of what I read into that is that there is a lot of internal pressure that is happening on the client side, which I think they alluded to at the beginning of the question. In my experience, when clients are asking for things at that speed of turnaround, there's some sort of internal pressure that's going on around comms and marketing. And so there's kind of, I don't think this is like groundbreaking, but like I would probably be asking a ton of questions before going into the actual work. And what the client wants. I think that's really hard as an agency sometimes because you want to just kind of be like, got it, we're on it, you're like all good, but actually trying to understand the internal environment in which the client is operating in is really important. I think then having boundaries of what is and isn't reasonable in terms of turning around work. And part of that is setting those boundaries early. If it's a piece of work that requires, this, and this, then our kind of usual turnaround time is Y. That's hard to do if you haven't sort of set that up from the beginning, because then the client will constantly re-establish boundaries and probably try and ask for things in an unreasonable amount of time. I think really good agencies know how to do this with like diplomacy and really well, but they also protect their staff so that it's not the case that they get stuck in these sort of 24-hour cycles. I think the other thing that I guess and this is a sort of a broader trend, is like, I don't know if the agency client model is working anymore. Like, and this is just like, I'm not having a dig at agencies, I'm not having a dig at, but in general, like a lot of those requests feel very like you are a service arm that gets shit done versus like a collaborative strategy partner.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just wonder, if you're operating purely as like arms and legs, and sometimes that's what clients need, then that's okay if that's but to me, a lot of those requests says like, you're not actually a strategic partner to that client. You're like who they're using to just sort of churn stuff in their business.
Yeah, that's, I think, the biggest thing for me is like, if you're just executing on those requests, I think one, to your point of asking the questions of like, where's this pressure coming from?
Yeah.
Because I think your responsibility as the agency is not just to get the work done, but it's an opportunity to be creative and advise a different solution based on the problem that you're trying to solve for that client.
Yeah.
Because like what it sounds like to me, and this is why I love being a consultant, because I feel like you get to be the hammer a little bit more than like a client, an agency executing. I think if agencies want to lift their reputation, they need to start figuring out how to push back, or not push back, but how to be an advisor, a strategic partner with their clients. And here's the other thing I was thinking about. Like with some of these deliverables, I feel like a lot of companies that use agencies for that type of work, they are small comms teams or like startups, and potentially that point of contact for that PR agency is not a PR person.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe. I feel like a marketing person would be like, because they forgot to add the comms component and they're like, or they don't understand how the function works. And so they're making these requests, not realizing that they're being ridiculous, which means there's a whole education piece that needs to come in for that agency. But I think like everyone in comms needs to get better at positioning out of some of that stuff and asking really smart questions because of the changing landscape we're in, because teams are going to get smaller. They need to know how to like.
And I think you're right. It's like, it goes back to like, what is the problem that you're trying to solve for your business? Like, why do you need something a whole new brand strategy within 24 hours. Like that's odd. And so trying to understand, is the problem, that the existing one isn't right? Is it that you don't have one? Is it that there's a new CMO and the CMO is really like whatever the issue is that you need that so fast? That's what I would be digging into. And you can kind of do it in the concept of like, we're super psyched to help with this. We really want to understand the problem you're trying to solve for your business. Like, understanding the timeline, is there a pressure point as to why it needs to be 24 hours?
Yeah.
And then if it's like, oh, well, the CMO has a presentation to the CEO tomorrow and we have nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We get it. So what's the what's the not bare
presentation
minimum,
even about? Like,
yeah.
can we find a happy medium?
I think trying to find all of that, or like, can we give you the vision and maybe we do the full plan within a week, or like, what do you actually need for that 24-hour mark? Like, what is the deliverable? Who is it going to? And what's all of that stuff. And I'm sure they are asking these questions, but I think that it is also a symptom of like, I do think internal teams, to your point, maybe they're not comms teams even, are under a huge amount of pressure to deliver things fast, but that doesn't mean you have to match that. You can kind of say, hang on a minute, let's pause and like ask a bunch of questions.
And I think that's the other thing too, that from a comms perspective, we have to just continue to reiterate is like, sure, marketing can be really fast now. Operations can be fast. Sales can be fast. We all know that AI can make content really fast. Like all of these things are really fast, but comms is kind of a slow burn. And so we need to be able to show examples of why that is, but how it still fits into your goals and how your company is operating and like the what you're trying to achieve from a business standpoint.
Yeah. Okay, solved it.
Perfect. Great. There you go, person. All right. Okay, the next one is summer internships for recent grads.
Ooh, okay, yep.
Hello, I just graduated from a UC with a degree in communications. Do you know what a UC is?
It's so going to be like, I'll go with it.
It's like UCLA or, UC Berkeley or,
Oh, okay. So it's a California university.
It's like a California, University of California versus like a state school. Like it's a bit like more prestigious.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Go ahead.
UC with
all those
degree.
Australians playing at home, it's probably like a Sydney university versus like a different one. I'm not even going to say another one, but like Sydney's like the prestigious Sydney University or Melbourne University. Okay, continue.
With a degree in communication.
Great.
I have some digital marketing experience, but no direct PR experience. I'm really curious about PR. It seems like something I could excel in. Does anyone know of any summer internships that accept recent grads? I would love something that is project-based and would allow me to learn through hands-on work. Thanks. This is interesting to me because some of the comments and suggestions that I was reading through on here, which I think could be helpful for people who are like, I don't know, like if anyone listening to this podcast is also like trying to get internships or like pivot into comms or whatever. But here were some good ideas. This dude said, PR today isn't just media relationships. It's deeply tied to digital content, social, and storytelling. So your background is more relevant than you think. Many agencies actively look for early career talent with digital marketing experience. The public relations side of things is mostly about building relationships. The media relations side is building and using those relationships to generate exposure and publicity. A great first step is to pick the city where you want to work and attend a PRSA, which is a Public Relations Society of America, event/meeting, or an IABC, which is International Association of Business Communicators. I've never heard of that. Or an AMA, American Marketing Association event. Look at which agencies and brands are involved, introduce yourself, be direct about asking who offers internships and project-based roles. Those conversations open far more doors than job boards. Ask people for referrals and introductions. Don't be timid. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. So two things. One is I love that this person was like, I think I would like PR. I think I would excel at it. I'm like, good on you. Like you've got no idea what it is, but you think you'd excel at it. Great. I have been asked this before in terms of like, so I have a couple of like things that I think work well. I like all that person's suggestions. I think the equivalent in wherever you are, like whatever the equivalent like bodies are, so like there's a bunch in different places, so I'm sure everywhere has a different version, but whatever the PR association is, I think they're always a good place to start. I actually think looking at some of the marketing and PR trade press in terms of agencies that are winning awards or working on clients that you might be interested in. The one thing I would say is like don't narrow yourself to an industry. Like I wouldn't have necessarily said that I wanted to do tech PR, but that's where I ended up and then I loved it. When I started. So I think, some people say, oh, think about the industry you'd want to. I'm like, no, at that point, just go and look at some agencies that you think would be interesting, that are doing interesting work, doing interesting client work. I would also look on LinkedIn for either in-house comms people or agency people and ask for a 10-minute Zoom or, a coffee if you want, but it's a lot easier for people to jump on a Zoom. And I think just being super honest about what you're looking for, but also being realistic about what that role will look like coming in. I hope we've moved to the point now where internships are for the most part paid, but like, I would encourage, I think it's a
I don't
bit,
think so.
it's the Wild West out there. So I think just be careful with that as well. Like obviously you still have to you have to find the balance of like experience, but also don't be a slave, especially if you have a degree and you've gone through college or university. But I think just be conscious of that. But for the most part, I think people want enthusiastic, like curious people. And if you can demonstrate that you're willing to scrub in, pull, get your sleeve. What's the saying? Get your hands
Roll up
dirty.
your sleeves.
Roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty.
Get your socks wet. I don't know.
But yeah, I think the most you can just meet people, go to events, let people know you're interested and available.
Yeah.
Something will pop up.
If you are interested in tech, then you are in luck because I have some other suggestions as well. So I think there's a lot of opportunities that are popping up through what you would see in like SF and LA Tech Week and New York Tech Week as well. So like I know that Yahoo in SF Tech Week, I think that the Yahoo comms team had like a free comms meetup like during that time.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And then other ones I think that could be good to meet other comms people and to meet journalists and stuff if you're just trying to get your foot in the door and make some relationships, or like figuring out where the publications are having an events. So like the Axios events could be good for like whatever industry they cover. The Information has events. I know that some of them can be pricey, but I think that you'll be able to find your comms people and make some connections if you can, just
sometimes if you email them and let them know that you're a student or you've just finished, like they might do a half price ticket, or like sometimes
there might be student pricing. Yeah, good point. But I think media events and then a lot of those like tech week type of events as well, where they're nurturing, they're trying to find founders, and then also like what surrounds a founder. It's the VCs, it's the comms people, it's the all the things that go into that. Just get crafty.
But even to your point, like going to like an Axios event or one of the publications to get a really good sense of how journalists think, like all of that stuff is just going to be helpful as you try and navigate it.
Okay, still junior in my career is the next one.
Great.
As someone that is still junior in my career in PR, I wanted to ask what everyone thought should be essential and a must know at this stage, like general career advice. So let me read you some of the things that people wrote in here. And some of these also, I will also just say before I read these, are like, you are a dinosaur and you should not be giving advice.
Great. Read those ones.
Here's one. Master AP style so your copy is clean before it hits an editor's desk.
Okay. I don't know if that, yep, okay, sure. I don't know if I would have called that essential, but sure.
Okay, here's some other work advice that this poor human has gotten. Pay attention to small details. You can save your manager a ton of time when they don't have to correct bad grammar and formatting.
Wow, helpful.
I'm sad. This is what people are like, ooh, I've got the answer to this. And then they raise their hand.
It's very like I was thinking more like bigger things than just like
What about
what
this
you
one?
think are right.
This one I can get behind. If you work in an office, keep a stash of snacks and an emergency umbrella in your desk drawer.
Well, that's just good life advice. I'm sorry, but that's just standard life advice. There should always be an emergency umbrella in your handbag.
How would you
Wow.
answer
Okay.
this question?
So I'm assuming this person, just to clarify, this person is a junior PR person or
Hmm.
comms person
As far
who's
as we
saying,
know.
as far as we know, because they're on the PR Reddit, what is like essential at this stage in their career?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I would say none of that of what those people just said. Okay. I think it's really simple. If you're, I don't, it's really hard to say like where this person is in the, but like, I don't think it really matters to, they are perceiving themselves as junior because that's what they've said, right? I'm
They
junior.
want to learn. They have a lot to learn, maybe. Good
So
self-awareness.
I think there's like a couple of things that I would always look for and be like, okay, great. I think general curiosity around the business, the way it works, how it's going, the numbers,
Yeah.
like understanding what it is that you do as a business, right? So I think sometimes comms people get caught up in like the story and like, but ultimately, like you're there to support whatever it is that your business does, whether
Mhm.
that's profit, whether that's a commercial business, whatever it is, whatever industry, healthcare. And so if you can understand more about that and be curious about that, i.e., go and meet with other people in other teams, go and like investigate the business. That is invaluable to me as a manager, having someone in the team who is interested, who is curious, who understands the business. It will also help you in your comms job, but I think it just shows a dedication to the work and an understanding of the business. So I think that's like one. In comms in particular, and this is my own personal feeling, but like a understanding or a thirst for reading and understanding and learning about the world, even outside of your existing right now industry. Like, I think if you are reading the news as a whole, if you are consuming different writers, different substacks, different, like just trying to understand the media landscape as a whole and the world as a whole, uh, it's interesting where ideas come from. It's like sometimes an idea for your own comms team will come from a podcast that you listen to about a totally different industry because you're just interested in. So, like, there's a theme here clearly about curiosity and interest. But I think those two are really important.
Yeah.
I think the like now I'm going to sound old. Okay. So just I'm preparing
I
everybody.
like this.
But like, be willing to work. Like, I don't, and I say that because I'm not saying the way we grew up in the industry was necessarily 100% right, but I don't remember feeling as entitled that I feel like some people feel now. And I think there is a balance between like not being overworked, but also just like, and maybe it's the way I grew up. Like, my parents are very hardworking people and they worked
Right.
in an industry where, they're public school teachers, right? They weren't going to necessarily grow in income exponentially, right? But that didn't stop them from working hard, and they always raised us to work hard.
Mhm.
And I just sometimes think even just that demonstrate and not being overworked, not working till midnight, none of that stuff, but just
Yeah.
like I'm willing to kind of do that extra bit or put my hand up or I don't
Mhm.
know, like, and I know that I know I sound old. I know. But I really believe in it. I really do.
I'm trying to remember. I said something the other day on a walk where Scott was like, okay, well, now you just sound like you're fucking 80 years old.
I know. And I know I do. I know that like the
I
young
get what
people.
you mean. I totally get what you mean. First thing I thought of was like, okay, Kim K.
Exactly. I know. I know as I say it, I'm like regretting it.
But
But
I
I
get
just,
it.
I don't know. There's something to be said for like head down at
Well, I
that
think it's
point,
being
like when you
curious.
can. Yeah.
Curiosity leads to all of that, I think, to your
You're
other
right.
2 points.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that, if you're genuinely interested in what you're doing, which I feel like a lot of people in PR are, I feel like we're all really passionate about the work that we do, maybe because it takes like so much attention and heart and soul to be able to do well.
Yeah.
Um, But to your first couple of points, like I would agree completely with that first statement that you made. I think that's the biggest piece of advice that I would say is like context is creativity it gives you freedom in the world of comms. So the more you know about other parts of the business, not only do you understand how to be more creative in your storytelling and you can find those hooks and data, but you also build relationships within that business that will like whether you're at a startup or a huge company or you're at an agency, that those relationships will come back to you as like that person gets it. And so I think that that's the biggest piece of advice. And also keep writing. Keep writing.
Yeah, that's a really good one too. Like just
Mm-hmm.
I think practice the craft. But the only other one I would say from a direct boss manager thing, not the like know what your boss's boss wants. Like, no.
Don't you say it.
I personally love a like no surprises policy. Like I think at that junior level, you're often afraid to tell the truth about what's happened. Like, about you can't get a pitch to land or you're not gonna whatever it is, right? I always preferred when people came to me and were like, "Hey, so this happened," and
Oh,
then
you mean like that one time when I had that HR interview?
anything like that. I think, and I operate that to this day. I operate that way with my boss,
Yes.
and I just feel like, and not everybody like, again, this is like individual preference, but I personally love someone in that level being like, hey, I just need to tell you what's going down because I can't help it, solve it, or prevent it if I don't know about it.
Totally.
And it's a lot harder when you hear it from like the CEO later.
Yeah. I think particularly in the comms profession, like trust with your manager is your moat to getting blame shackled on you if shit goes down. Like I think
like a bad story's coming. Don't pretend and wait for it to come out. Like let people know the bad story is coming. Because when it comes, they feel way more like not surprised by it, which is
totally
a better way to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is a good one. How does your company handle paid media, sponsored content, and paid reviews? Who owns it? So I lead North America PR at a consumer tech brand with a clear ownership of earned media, messaging, launches, and media relationships. Where things get uncleared is paid content and paid media partnerships, especially paid reviews and sponsored editorial. There isn't a clear owner internally for paid reviews and creator review style content versus earned reviews, sponsored editorial and brand content from media outlets, paid YouTube reviews, sponsored creator videos or review style content tied to payment, and hybrid media partnerships that include content, interviews, or story contingent on spend. Complicating this, we don't have a dedicated influencer or creator team, so paid creator opportunities often fall into a gray area between PR and marketing. Because the outlet or creator is editorial, these opportunities often land with PR. Because there's budget involved, they sometimes get pushed to marketing. The result is fuzzy ownership around strategy, approvals, disclosures, and measurement. Ooh. This is a hairy one, I feel like.
And everybody does it different, and it's kind of
well, it kind of depends on the structure of your business as well.
Yeah.
Like
I have a fairly strong perspective that it should sit with comms and that comms should just own the P&L or the budget line that goes alongside it, even if that comes from marketing, right? Like again, this comes down to like, it might be the way that the budget is distributed. It might be the way that the team is structured. I do think there is some tension between marketing and comms as to who should own this. And because we've entered into a gray area, because we used to only have earned media and, classic advertising, right? Where you have an ad campaign, that ad campaign runs in TV spots, in billboards, whatever it might be, right? All of this stuff in the middle, it's not new, but it's not been around forever, right? And then we're getting more and more in between. But if you're doing a paid piece, call it an advertorial, whatever, publication, do you not want that to be on message with the right story angle. Like I kind of go, and that doesn't mean marketing can't do it. They usually can because they understand the brand as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you want to think about it as like a complementary mix of your earned media, the paid content piece. Influencer stuff is like a whole other. I haven't actually done a lot of paid creator stuff, and I feel like that is really interesting. I feel like that is a sort of, I don't know.
I feel like paid YouTube reviews and sponsored creator videos or review style content tied to payment, that to me naturally feels very marketing and advertising.
Me too. Yeah.
Whereas like hybrid media partnerships that include content, interviews, and storytelling contingent on spend, that feels like comms to me.
I agree.
Yeah, and I guess the other question that I would have just thinking about this is like, why do we think we need to own everything too? Like, could there be some type of division of we own all messaging that is like tied to certain campaigns or certain business goals? And then marketing is able to take that messaging and then make it pithy and make it punchy and make it like marketing-y, but maybe the original language comes from comms for like some of those campaigns, you know, like is there a way to rethink this rather than like a land grab situation?
Well, when this works well, it's kind of irrelevant where it sits.
Totally.
Right? If your business is structured, and this is all a big ifs, because the reality is most businesses are not structured well. Budgets are complicated. Like there's a whole bunch of reasons why this isn't easy. But
yeah, it's the same kind of argument of like, does comms go into the CEO or the CMO? Like it just depends on the way your business is structured. But some people are so emotional about the way it rolls in.
I know, and I'm kind of like, in the right business, it shouldn't really matter. And in an ideal world, the way I would set it up is you would have a brand like council, right? So you have someone from brand, someone from marketing, someone from comms, and these things that sit in the gray area require like everyone's alignment. And that doesn't mean you set up some form of RACI that means like who's responsible for actually paying for it, who's responsible for like engaging with the creators, all that sort of stuff. But comms is consulted. I don't necessarily think comms needs to own it, but you need to be consulted because put it the other way around. If one of those paid content creators does something really wild that affects the brand, who's going to get asked to solve it?
Who cleans it up? We do.
So we're not exactly. So they're going to be like, well, this brand used this controversial, let's say that creator then goes and posts a video on social. It's a bit out there, a bit right wing or left wing, whatever whatever your brand cares about, but that then becomes a comms problem because you've hired someone who's, done something crazy. So if we didn't know about it to start with, so I just think it's one of those things where it's like, it's probably not an easy answer. It's not like it should sit here, it should sit here. It probably is a combination, but in the right functioning business, it shouldn't necessarily matter if you're all engaging in the right way. The challenge that people have is that, to your point, it becomes a land grab. It's like, I don't want to own this, you should own this, or I don't want to approve it. Like, I don't know, you should just be thinking about the business and the brand, and ultimately, like, that's what it should come down to.
I love your suggestion of a council. Like, let's normalize creating cross-functional councils to get work done without having to worry about ownership and land grabbing. Like, I just think that's such a good idea.
That only works if when it's successful, everybody acknowledges that it's a team effort. I think where it gets complicated is like, and look, we've both worked in big businesses where it's like, it is complex. Like it's big, it's a beast. But like, I think if you're small enough that you could initiate something like that to say like, hey guys, this is really a gray area for all of us. Let's set up a monthly where we run through all the pieces of content that we're putting out, like paid, not, editorially.
I mean, there's your stretch project if you're trying to get a promotion. It's so good. Okay, here's one more. How to get media relations experience when your boss gatekeeps everything. Okay, and then this person's coming out real sassy. Basically, the title. I work in-house and my boss has a lot of established relationships with media, so I get it, but it's really hampering my ability to develop experience. feels like every time I pitch something to him, he either A, says he knows the journal well and he would handle it, but have me draft the pitch, or B, doesn't respond / doesn't want to bother with it. It's only really low level pubs he might let me reach out to. I consider myself competent, but I'm stuck in a cycle where to build trust, I need to be given opportunities to actually do the work. I love to apply to other roles, but this person this person is mad at their boss for them not making an effort to build media relationships, is what this sounds like to me.
Oh, yeah.
There's 2 ways to go about this. I'm going to jump in and then you can be mad at me.
No, go.
1, ask your boss, why can I not manage this on my own? Because then that gives the opportunity to get feedback potentially on maybe your readiness to be able to handle a sensitive interview or like some type of pitch that you're putting forward that needs a bit of grace that maybe you're lacking. I don't know. A learning opportunity. But like I've had really good bosses that when you just ask and you want to see what the conversation looks like and not own and manage it, like I've had good bosses that have just put me on CC so I can see how the conversation goes back and forth. And then that journalist ends up seeing your name in the conversation back and forth.
I think there's a couple of things here. Well, I think you're right. Have you had the conversation that you feel you're not getting the opportunities to engage with media in the way that you would like to? And if so, you know, what is there a reason? Is there some fear around? Because it's highly possible that the boss thinks it's quicker and faster for them to do it because they have
100%.
Right?
Yes.
So I think, have you had the conversation? If you haven't had the conversation, have the conversation. And A, you'll either find out that your boss doesn't think you're ready yet and why, or they had no idea and they're happy for you to just own it and that'll change. Or there's a middle ground where they say, I don't think you're quite ready, but I didn't know you wanted that. So next time I call that journo, I'll put it on speaker and you can hear how I pitch. The underlying for all of this is if you have that conversation and then this is still going on, then that's probably not a healthy manager relationship if they're not letting you learn and build your own relationships. Sometimes, like playing devil's advocate, sometimes you have worked really hard on a journalist relationship over many, many years, but I can't imagine a world where you wouldn't want your team to have those same opportunities to build those relationships. So if you've genuinely like not asked for that, then the boss just probably doesn't know. But if you have asked multiple times and you're still being kind of, then it might be time to think about, is that the right spot? Because that person maybe isn't looking for someone to take on and learn more or any of that sort of stuff. The only other thing I would say is if there's an opportunity where you're like got an event where you can go and meet 100%. The journalist yourself, go do that. Like,
yeah, that was going to be
and just go do it. Don't wait necessarily for permission. Not on the pitches about your business. That's a bit different.
Yeah, maybe. No, just put yourself out there as a comms person and go to an event and like introduce yourself. And
meet that journalist.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Don't rely on someone else necessarily the whole time to build your relationships. Like just go and make the relationships.
Yeah. And there's a weird formality in that nuance of language of like needing the introduction or things like that like obviously we don't have enough context to dig into, but like the best teams that I've been on where we've gotten the best stories and been able to have like a super highly functioning comms team is where everyone kind of knows the same journalist and you're like, oh, I just talked to him last week. Will you pitch him? Or like, you take that one, blah, blah, blah. Like nobody cares. It's for the good of the business. So there's a different mindset.
Boss owns like, you know, the one, like, I just think there's also all this new media that's popping up that you could then be like, I'm going to own podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
Totally.
I'm going to go and like meet all the podcast hosts and I'm going to understand the podcast world or I'm going to understand whatever it is, right? Your boss probably owns a relationship with quite a like seasoned, let's call it tech because we're just making assumptions. But if it was in tech, maybe they own the like Bloomberg tech person, like whatever it is. Like there's 1,000 other journalists that you could make relationships with in a lot of new spaces that your boss would be like, oh, I've never pitched that before. Yeah, great. You go own that. Part of me is like, well, for the purpose of your business, if your boss has that relationship, then
Yeah.
you've got that relationship. It's there.
It doesn't matter if you know that person or
Who
not.
cares?
Like,
But go and
yeah.
find the one that you don't have for the business.
Totally.
Me?
Exactly. That was
Yeah.
one of the comments that I liked on this chain. They were like, take another path and start engaging with some content creators, perhaps. Forge your own relationships where your boss isn't or won't be. So then you're actually thinking about, rather than my relationships, my media stuff, it's like,
Who
how
does
are
the
we
business need a
expanding
relationship
the
with?
opportunities for the business?
Yeah. And eventually you'll make those other relationships. You will. But like, if think about it less from you and more the business and what the business, if the business already has a relationship with that journalist through whoever, your boss, someone else, like, and as you were saying, like sometimes it's a random person on the team who's like, oh, I know that journal really well. Okay, great, you pitch it then. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of, yeah, I would just go and find your niche and go and build those relationships.
Yeah. But if you feel like your boss is gatekeeping media relationships, just ask why. Ask them about it. Maybe get some feedback. I don't know. Because
and then if they're just genuinely a dick, just go.
just leave. If you're young, just run for the hills, baby.
Yeah. Plenty more bosses in the sea, you know?
Exactly. I love it. Well, that's it for Reddit.
We solved it.
Did you like it?
Yeah, that was fun. I liked that.
Well, I hope
I'm not
everyone
sure we
else.
gave great advice as per usual, but I think it was okay.
Listen, this is a Katie and Katie special, so this is what you're gonna get. So
Yeah, I loved it. Great.
these are gonna be few and far between. So either you're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. Well, hey, safe travels. Have fun, you know, in your international gallivanting. And then for everyone else, we will chat to you guys later. But thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.